Hey, Mr. Binks, you know it was St. Patrick's Day the other day. Well, that's why we're jumping on Zoom to talk to Catriona Lowry all the way over in Ireland. She runs an amazing sanctuary called the Hilltop Sanctuary, where many animals find themselves very lucky indeed. I'm Anna Webb. Welcome to A Dog's Life. Catriona, welcome to A Dog's Life.
Oh, thank you.
Oh gosh, I'm so excited about this because finally, you know, we're connecting.
I know it's amazing. You know, it's so funny because when get to know people over Twitter, you're in your mind, you think like they're your friends and you know them, and then suddenly you appear on Zoom and you're like, oh my God, that's you.
I know. It's always, but I mean, I'm loving it because am I right? Is this your first ever Zoom?
Yes, and you know what? I'm so grateful to Mike that he said that that's something nearly to be proud about, that I avoided the whole Zoom world over the last few years.
Gosh, it's incredible. I mean, I admire you because I'm not a fan of technology awfully. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So,
yes.
gosh, I mean, hats off.
But you know, it's really good to hold up your hands and be able to say that, because you know the way our younger selves would pretend, oh yeah, I'm Zooming all the time. You know what I mean?
Yes. It's,
And,
it's so funny. Tomorrow, actually, I'm training a Jack Russell called Zoom.
oh, oh, that's cute.
But Catriona, so you're now running a sanctuary called the
Yes,
Hilltop Sanctuary, but you
yes.
haven't always been running a sanctuary, is that right?
No. My life, I suppose, this is not the life I imagined. And I'm sure there's lots of people, including you. I don't know about you, Anna, but, the life we imagine is often very different to the life we end up in. And I suppose, and I call myself the reluctant rescuer because I do feel every day I'm reluctant, but I still do it. Do you know what I mean? So the sanctuary, I suppose, came about because, you know, to give it in a sentence, there was nowhere else to turn to when I came across animals, except other rescues who are already very burdened and full to capacity. So you can't keep turning to others. And so then I said, I need to start taking in these abused, neglected animals.
Well, yeah, no, we should just say that you are in Ireland, right? Now, my
Yes.
geography of Ireland isn't super good, actually. So
Okay.
explain where you are in relation to Dublin.
Okay, so Dublin is the east coast. We're over on the west coast. So to get to Dublin would be probably a 2.5 hour, 3 hour drive along the motorway. So I'm in County Clare. So I'm not on the coast. So I'm just about half an hour away to get to the coast, so it's beautiful. It is beautiful here. It's very peaceful.
Gosh, I bet. Oh, gosh,
Yeah.
I must come and visit, by the way. But we'll talk about that
Yes, of
off
course.
air. I'd love to
Yes.
help. Now, explain though, how long has the Hilltop Sanctuary in County Clare been going?
Okay, so basically, I lived in London, and then I was living in Dublin, and I suppose I was constantly trying to carve out a career in media, whether in film, radio, television, but you know yourself, you end up taking all sorts of jobs to pay the rent. So in Dublin, really, you go to auditions and you get to the last three and then you wouldn't get it, and I got increasingly frustrated. And I have to say, it is a life I really wanted, because when I was a child, I always saw the glitz and glamour. I was really attracted to it, the camera, and I often wonder why that was the way it was, because my mother was really simple. But then I thought, growing up, my mother used to always talk how we were distant relatives of Grace Kelly, and I think that imprinted on me. Oh my God, like she became my, I fantasized about having that life, and I mean, as a very young child, and then the reality is very different.
Yeah.
Often only there is a few people that make it obviously very successful, but I obviously wasn't one of them. So in Dublin, I decided I would come back home to the West, and then I went back into teaching and counseling, and that was great. I was working in local radio, I was writing, doing a bit of journalism. And then my sister said to me one day, do you want to come into an animal charity shop and we could, volunteer for a few hours? So because of background in fashion as well, I've got so many careers. I sometimes wonder, is this one life? But anyway, and I started doing their windows. And I couldn't get over how people were just coming in with their pets and giving them up, and then people coming in and reporting cruelty. And it kind of went over my head a bit. And then I went to, a fortune teller.
Right, right. We've got to focus on this bit
Yes,
because I have to say, I did hear
yes,
an interview with you on a radio station
yes,
just the other day. And I just
yes.
thought, oh my God, I love your energy so much. You've got to come on A Dog's Life. And it got to this bit. So basically being, a fashion guru, in the
Mm,
media, which I
mm.
know, I'm in the media, it's known to be the most kind of fickle,
Yes, yes,
almost,
yes,
pointless life, really. I mean,
yes, yes,
but you went to see a fortune teller because your
yes.
friend was having an
Yes.
emotional crisis.
Yes. She just basically wants to know, when will he arrive in my life? How many children I'm going to have? And she needed company. And I was like, okay, I didn't really, believe in him, but I said I would be that supportive friend and go with her. It was £100 or €100. I can't remember. It was crazy money. Anyway, I went and I just sat there shaking my head, rolling my eyes, but I was also being very polite to Anna, the fortune teller, when she kept revealing card after card and looking at me, and she goes, horses and valleys, and you with just a light leading them through valleys, and it's going to be terrible, and you really have to mind yourself. And I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Look again. You know what I mean? And because there was Anna, there was nothing else but animals and horses, and predominantly horses. And I said thank you, Anna, but no thank. Her name was actually Anna as well. Sorry. And I said this, thanks, but no thanks. I don't even have a dog, and she actually told my story before it began, and every single thing she, saw has come true. It is, and if somebody told me it's Anna, I don't know whether I would believe them. But yeah, so it was amazing, especially a lot of very sick, injured, abused horses she saw. So yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Gosh, and she saw you, didn't she, walking in loads of mud, carrying
Yes,
a lantern,
yeah, a
and and
lantern, yeah.
and you were
Mm.
like,
Mm.
"That's not me."
Absolutely, and it was me. I have walked in dark fields. I've walked in dangerous places. I've led horses, having to pass by a lot of people. I'm taking deep breaths to go from one end of an area to the other to get the horse out. And and how it would come to that was, I did go through the normal channels, and I was told by a superintendent in a Garda station, when he warned me about the way I was working, I had to use the channels for reporting animal abuse, but the channels weren't working. And I have to stress that I don't know any rescuer that actually wants to be a rescuer, but it is out of necessity. You do follow protocol, and you ring the lines, and you send emails off, and you ring the Garda stations, but help does not always come.
Do you think?
And
Do you think
mm.
that's a problem, Catriona, in Ireland? That there's kind.
Yes, I've been thinking about this, Anna, because I know it's something that interests you as well. Like, what is going on? And I think animal abuse exists everywhere. But if you look at a country like Switzerland, they rank so low when it comes to cruelty because they have the best enforced legislation. Ireland has the best animal welfare legislation, but we do not have consistent and constant enforcement. And then when we do get enforcement and it goes to the courts, the sentencing is you just bury your your head in your hands, because it does not match the crime. Do you know what I
Mm-mm.
mean? And,
Yeah,
and
but we've
mm,
we've got that still here in England, I
really,
mean,
yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, at the moment, the
Yeah.
government's pronouncing that they're going to bring in the animal sentience bill,
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah. I heard you saying that on one of your yes. And how is
Yeah.
that going? What
Well, it's not
stage?
going anywhere as far as I can see. You see what I
Oh,
mean? So,
okay.
okay, the
Okay.
latest is and it's going to be discussed in the House of
Okay.
Lords in June. And then
Yes.
where it goes from there is probably going to take ages and ages. But it's interesting,
Yes.
in Spain and in Portugal, they
Yes.
have recently made animals
Yes.
sentient. So, I
Yes.
mean, change is happening around the world, but it's slow
It's
because
so
I think
slow.
there's so much involved, actually,
Yes.
quite a
Yes.
sort of dark level, which maybe we won't go
Mm.
to, here right
Yes.
now. But
Yes.
equally, yeah, with dog theft, a dog is still considered like, a
An
laptop,
object.
an
Yes.
object,
Yes.
and the
Yes.
pain and the suffering that
Yes.
is
Yeah.
incurred both ways, of course, emotionally
Mm.
to the dog and the human. So,
Oh, stop. Yes.
but do you think Ireland's worse than the UK?
I think here, it's very interesting when listening to you talk about it because it's so lovely. It's like you find someone on the same landscape as you that you're seeing the same surroundings, and you know what I mean. And it's because for me, it's frustrating that when you say to me in Ireland is it worse. I think there is a mindset in Ireland of normalizing some abuses, like the way you and I and other people, animal loving people, would see a dog on a chain and be horrified, while the owner sees a dog being controlled and it's just a dog, and it's that those words just it kind of nurtures the mindset of it's okay to do it. This is normal, but there is nothing normal about, and it's not illegal. I don't know, is it illegal with over there to have a dog on a chain?
Well, it would depend how long the chain was.
Yeah. Okay. It's seen as, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
because, well, I suppose the thing is as well, I spend so much time in London
Yes.
where there isn't
It's,
a lot of outdoors, so we,
yes, of course.
like
Yeah.
I don't see
Yeah.
foals,
But I
chained
presumed it
up
was, yes.
like
y-
horses. We don't have horses on the Hackney Market.
y-
Well, actually, there is the stables, but not, they're looked after. But you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I
Yes.
know a lot of the work you do is with horses, right? In fact, it
Yes.
was a foal that
Yes.
basically changed your life, wasn't it? Because he was
Yes.
tied up as you were driving along, wasn't
Yes, yes. So that started the equine while I was, dabbling in shop windows for an animal charity shop. It was, it was actually going up to a friend of mine who took greyhounds from the pound, in Ennis in Clare, and she would take them from the pound before they were automatically put to sleep in the pound, but she fought that they wouldn't be automatically put to sleep during the Rhine, and she would send them to Italy, where the red carpet literally was rolled out for them when they arrived. Imagine, from a track in Ireland to being dumped in a pound to ending up in Italy, walking the red carpet to meet your new owner. You couldn't make it up. It's amazing. So
Wow.
it was driving up to her place to just walk a few greyhounds, which was, in the beginning it was nerve wracking, but it was like amazing. They're just so docile, really. I was, I was telling another journalist how I turned up in running gear because I thought they would be pulling me along the road, but they were like so slow until, of course, a hare or a rabbit came along, and they were like,
Yeah.
okay, it would trigger. But it was going up to her one day. There was a foal tied on with a rope at the side of the road for everyone to see. So, my naivety again, I rang the numbers, I kept ringing the animal welfare lines connected to the Department of Agriculture, whose remit is animal welfare in this country, and nobody came for weeks. And I was like, okay. So I said, I'm going to have to feed this foal until I figure out what to do. So I went to the local the co-op store, and they didn't have hay. So I had to buy haylage and, this small little convertible. I looked ridiculous filling it with haylage and feed. And would you believe I started feeding her, and cars would be passing by, and it was amazing. Like, some people would go shout things like, feed your horse, and other people, get a job. I couldn't believe the abuse I was getting.
I
And
can't
here
be.
I was like, I'm trying to do something good, but see again, the perceptions and the automatic the automatic thoughts of that I owned the horse. I wasn't feeding the horse, and I needed to go get a job. Hello. So, and then, do you know what happened? Do you know how I met the owners? of that foal. I was feeding her and I could see them coming, and I got really nervous. So I literally slid down the verge that I had to climb up to get to her at the side of the road. And guess, I got into my car. Thank God, thank God, thank God. I get away. The car wouldn't start.
I knew you were going to say that. Oh, no.
Anyway, so I had these men surrounding me. Why are you feeding her? And anyway, so I was like, took a deep breath, and I just said, I might as well be honest, but with a smile. So I was like, why aren't you feeding this foal? And, and whatnot. So that started a relationship with that family, a difficult one, but one where I helped a lot of their other animals. And how I got that foal in the end, she had an accident, and she was bleeding a lot, where she was put on a sulky.
What's that?
And like a cart for racing.
Oh.
So along the road. So, if you've a young or but and by the way, no foal under the age, definitely, it's terrible to see 6-month-old foals, or any under 2 years of age should not be worked, because they're still growing and they're still developing. So she had an accident, and they rang me, and they didn't want her anymore, and that's how I got her. But
and have you still got her, Catriona?
She is now rehomed in Cork, and she's won pony camp competitions and for jumping, and so she's doing really, really well. But there's lots of hers that I have fed. That started a feeding program for a few years. I obviously had to give up my lovely girly car to get a big mucky Jeep. And I started feeding a lot of, they just appeared suddenly, as the fortune teller told me. They just appeared. So many hungry horses, ringing the department, ringing the guards, and some died, and some I did get out. I had to buy some to save their lives, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to give people who cruelly treat animals cruelly money, but when their life, I would want someone to pay money for my life.
Hey, Anna, sorry to bother you again. I know I'm always picking your brains, but you are the expert. Billy needs a new harness. The one we have I think it's starting to fray. But I always liked Prudence's and Binksy's. What would you recommend?
Oh, yeah. Well, Prudence and Binks, they wear this brand called Dogs and Horses, which actually isn't based too far away from you. They're at Kensal Rise.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you could pop over. They've got a workshop there, and everything's handmade, to amazing standards.
Oh,
Yes,
Billy's excited
Billy,
about it already.
he
Yeah.
really is. You could go visit, and it's all like Italian leather. Yes, it is. And it's rolled, and they've got so many gorgeous colors, and they do a very groovy designed harness. And they do, the leads that I really liked, that are
Yeah.
like those double clip leads.
Yeah.
They're so great because you can shorten them and lengthen them as you need, Well, they do super ones of those, I must say.
Cool. All right. So I'll swing by. But if I can't swing by, obviously I can buy them online. Where would I go?
Yeah. It's their website. What is it now? Oh, yes. It's dogsandhorses.co.uk.
What's that? So hang on, I'm writing that down. Say it again.
dogsandhorses.co.uk.
Brilliant. Thanks.
Good luck.
Cheers. Billy,
Bye.
should we go get a new harness? Billy, should we get a harness? What is it? Let's get a harness. Okay, let's go.
So, the actual sanctuary, did you have to find somewhere, to be
Yes.
your base?
Yeah, no. So what happened was, back then, a lot of I made connections quickly with other more established rescues, and once I got the horses out, they took them, and some are living the dream in Germany. One foal I rescued is now living in Wales. 17 hands. They reckon she's going to really make a name for herself, and she will be in with the lady forever. It's not like she's going to be used for competition and moved on. She will retire with her, and that's really important to me, because in the industry, as you know, sometimes when they stop winning, they're no use. Do you know what I mean, Anna? So
Yeah.
that's important, that they get to retire, or they get to retire somewhere that I know of, if you know what I mean. It's important to always know where they are, because they can end up going back into that world again, by sold at fairs and things like that. So the abuse is in every cohort of society. People assume it's one, group. It's not. It's right across the board. And
Yeah.
and sorry, I'm not answering your question. The sanctuary then came about because I met a lovely man who saw me at the side of the road, and he said, if you ever need somewhere to bring these, and he probably regrets it. That was a few years ago, and now
Stop.
he said to me the other day, the state of my house, and I was like, but could you imagine life without them? Because there's cats, pigs, goats, rabbits, and everything now. And I said, well, could you imagine life without them? He goes, oh, I think I could.
That's lovely. But you've helped greyhounds, as you mentioned,
Yes,
get to
yeah.
Italy. What other dogs? I mean, horses or
Oh yeah, so
yeah,
speaking of
that's
so the dogs, so we have currently we have two dogs that came from a horrific hoarding situation. So it was 35 collies locked in a shed for years. So they would have bred with each other, and the life cycle would begin. The next generation would start. So a fantastic rescue called Madra, which is Irish for dog. They went in there with authorities, and this is when authorities do work, depending on where you live. And those collies were saved. Now those collies, one is 14, and he's blind. The other one is about 12, but I couldn't really touch them in the beginning. They've post-traumatic stress disorder, and but we're getting there. But they had to have a very secure outdoor space, because they to come into the house is too much for them.
yeah.
So the other dogs then, again, ex-chain dogs. We've a stunning German Shepherd that was chained from a puppy. The owner would only come every few days to feed him. So that's amazing to see him now, his beautiful coat, and because he was completely matted. And then we have other dogs that came. One who passed away sadly was a bait dog. He had seriously psychological issues, trust, and he had a lot of triggers. We had to be careful of sounds, couldn't burn wood in the fire, things like that would cause him to have panic attacks. And then another older dog was found running with a lamb ring on his tail at 8 years of age, trying to take off his tail at 8 years of age. So he fought for his life for a week because, sepsis, it was infected,
So how did that happen? What, a farmer, what?
No, it wasn't a farmer. This was a city dog, city. I suppose, this notion of I'd like a dog with, this thing again, what we talked about, they're seen not as sentient, but as objects, and just, this modifying how they look. But as the vet said, at 8 years of age, they decided they did not want their Jack Russell to have a tail.
I
And what
see.
they, really horrific stuff. And then other dogs came from the pound, some pounds only give dogs 5 days
Yeah.
before they are put to sleep. And then two from a breeder that again have issues. So yeah, a real mixed bag. But a lot of dogs we rescue and move on. Most of them come from being chained or being neglected, which is is abuse. Real,
Well, it is. I mean, it
yeah.
is. It's cruelty and neglect.
Yeah,
Remember,
yeah,
those two
yeah.
words go together, And but I mean,
Mm.
so you've got this sanctuary with an amazing. It sounds like Noah's Ark in a way,
Yes.
And how do you fund it, Catriona? I mean,
It
this
is.
must, donkeys eat a lot, and pigs definitely do.
Yeah, no, definitely. And a lot of people say this to me, and I always, there's the only way to answer you is be honest. Like, I have lost a lot of money over, my rescue work. Like I had a house, but, when you've so many animals, I had to rent out my house to pay the mortgage, because, there animals cost an awful lot of money, and our outreach work, our feeding work costs a lot of money. So basically, Pat works full time, I work part time. All our personal income goes into this, but realistically, you have to pay your health insurance, your direct debits have to go out and all that. But I used to do it without telling anyone for a long time, and then I realized I'm going to be bankrupt and I am going to be on the street with nothing. So I told people what I was doing, and people would buy me hay. And then with the sanctuary, we started a calendar, and the calendar keeps us going for a few months. Do you know what I mean, Anna? Like, that will cover our vet fees for a few months. It will cover our feed for a few months. And then I always say to people who want to donate, when we are okay, we are okay. I don't like taking in donations, because we are okay for now. We won't be okay in a few months.
But it's always good to plan ahead, isn't it?
Yes.
And also you never know what's around the corner.
Yes. Yeah. One thoroughbred horse that came in a bad way, because her owner really neglected her, and she was seized by a lovely guard. She cost a lot of money, but she had to be put to sleep in the end. Her equine hospital fee was thousands, and we did get help with that from another horse rescue. But yes, and that's a really good point. We do not know, like, every time the horse box leaves the yard, or we go to pick up a dog or a cat, we don't know what bill they will bring. Sometimes I'm so conscious people give so much, so I always kind of go, can I come back to you in a few months? And especially with Ukraine now, and it's so interesting what you said about people seeing animals as objects. Do you see the mindset of a lot of the Ukrainians? They see their animals as family. Their dogs are on their back, their cats are in their carriers. So do you see the difference in mindsets?
I think, I was thinking about that if Russia invaded London,
Yes.
God, I'd take my animals with me. I'd be in my Mini. I'd be on
Yes.
the Eurotunnel as quick as I could.
Yes, yeah. And you see, you don't even
Somewhere
think of it. Yeah, because that's your mindset. You see them as family, sentient. They feel fear. And I suppose isn't that why sometimes abuse prevails, when the mindset is not intervened with via legislation and all of that, But sorry, how did I leave the sanctuary and funding? Yes, so people are giving so much to more worthy causes at the moment. We are fine for now, but I have little books on Amazon. They tip away and they bring in bits every month. My counseling work, I do a bit of speech writing for different people. So it all adds up. But people are very good. Like, other rescues might get a huge donation of food and they'd never get through it. So they might give us some of that. So, people are very good that way. Yeah.
Well, I heard talking about people being really good. Didn't a wonderful man that I think we both know, called John O'Callaghan,
yes.
did he not arrange for you to get a whole brand new car?
Yes. So, you get that call and you go, because Mike, I could not justify buying myself a car, and even a secondhand car, because we have more pressing issues. So I was trying to keep my old car going. And John O'Callaghan, which is like, I always say, if I had a PR firm and I was hiring, I'd be headhunting him, because he really he makes connections quickly. He pulls on their heartstrings and he gets them to do something. So John said to me, I think I have a garage that wants to sponsor you a car. And I was like, I went, the thought. My mother always said, look, the thought is as good as the reality. So the thought of it was lovely. I was imagining myself in there, oh my God, a car that I don't have to be checking all the lights on the dash. And oh my God, that would be amazing. And Sean Murray Car Sales in 6 Mile Bridge, his daughter Sarah, they got me this fabulous Ford S-Max people carrier, but it is like a rescue carrier now. It is fabulous. It has changed my life.
And isn't it brilliant? It's just like the kindness. And as you say, it is. That's how I was taught when I grew up. It's like, it's the thought that counts.
Yes.
And it really is.
Oh, definitely. And it's so funny. Do you find as we get older, we really want things less? Do you find that even though this car is an amazing thing and give, but I do find that people go, well, do you not miss like going on holidays? And, so I don't miss any of that. Isn't it funny how priorities change? Seeing an animal get well, is my holiday, if that makes sense. Now, in saying that.
Yeah, no, but listen, it totally makes sense to me. I mean, you see, when I grew up, my dad was secretary of the Shropshire branch of the RSPCA. So, so I learned about some really shocking animal cruelty when I was really young, which, can really distort your mind. And it
Yes.
did, you know, it
Okay.
made me really not like people very much, you know. I mean,
Yes. Yes.
and that really
God.
set the bar. And so,
Yes.
and then through dad, you know, I'd do my riding lessons,
Yes.
and he taught me, you know, so much about dogs and the love of a dog and
Wow.
count on a dog. So
Yes.
really, it all began very early for me. So you know,
Yes.
yeah, I love, you know, I love travel and everything, but these days now with my animals here, you know, leaving that
Yes.
it would
Yes.
ruin the holiday. You know, I
Yeah.
mean,
It's the.
my worry, you know, because I know anything can happen, you see, and I just
Yes.
couldn't bear it, Catriona.
Yes, but see, your life lens was changed because of your dad from an early age. So that became your norm. That animals have to be minded, have to be treated really well, and the awareness that people don't always do it, like, you know. So yeah, so but you know, Anna, you know, it's not all rainbows and daffodils. It is tough, and sometimes I do miss not having to worry, if that makes sense. There's always worry, you know, but you kind of you build up a resilience to carry it better. Years ago, I think I would have fallen down in a heap, but now I learned to hold my worry burden better. It's like I'm building that muscle. I don't know. I'm probably inventing new psychological terms now,
No, I
but
love it though, but building muscle, I just love that because in a way, you know, caring for another living being
mm,
and, you know, rehabilitating them, I think is such a great gift. And it's such
yeah,
boost
yes,
in a way that
yes.
you really feel like you've done something useful, you know.
Yes, absolutely. And I remember listening to one of the founders of My Lovely Horse Rescue, Cathy Davies, saying on television in an interview, she goes, you know, I'm going to paraphrase. I said, you still have to put on your lipstick, or otherwise, if you stop doing that, you'll end up in a pool of PISS, she said, and you'll be like surrounded with animals and you'd be a mess, you know. And she was right. So now, and my mother always said that. Always put on a bit of lipstick because whatever else is going on, you you distract them, you know. So I always try to do that. I always try and maintain some form of, as a woman, some sort of form of a little girliness, you know, because even going to work now, finding cat animal clothes that aren't all covered in
Yeah.
hair is like so hard.
No, I love that. Well, that's brilliant advice, Catriona. You know, always put on a bit of lipstick. And I
Yes,
agree.
yes.
And it's just that little bit of, you know, self-respect and
Yeah,
dignity.
yeah,
But
yeah.
just recap then. So Hilltop, is that part of My Lovely Horse or is it separate?
Oh no, My Lovely Horse, they are what, you know, if I was ever a horse in my next life needing help, I would want My Lovely Horse Rescue. They're amazing. So they're based in Dublin and they're based in Cork, but they do all animals now and they nearly cover the whole country. They have taken a horse off me badly in need of a home to go to, a rescue space. They've taken pigs off me. They are amazing. So that Cathy Davy, I don't know, she's a singer. She uh, founded it with two of her friends, one being Martina Kenny. So really, the work they do is amazing. But again, they're fighting the system. They're asking, they're constantly pleading with our Minister of Agriculture, enforce the law. They brought in all of these laws, but they're not being enforced. And I love that they're saying it as well, because sometimes rescues, I think, are, you know, because they depend on the Department of Agriculture for their grants, even though their grants are so teeny tiny. Well, I feel some are afraid to be outspoken about it, you know?
I think it's good to be outspoken, Catriona.
Mm,
I really
yeah.
do, particularly at the moment, because the world has literally turned upside down in so
Yes.
many ways. And
Yes.
so,
Yeah.
and then,
Yeah.
but for Hilltop, so, you know, you are like a charity in your own right.
Yes, yes. So I suppose if people want to support us, like they can do a number of things. They can, like, we have little things for sales, like different books, and you can still, it's March now, but you can still buy our calendar.
Yeah.
You
Well,
really
there's
at a
still,
reduced price.
Fantastic. Oh, I must
And
get one actually. And
I
then
should have sent you one for all your support. My
oh, don't be
goodness.
silly. No, gosh. Listen, I mean, I just like, looking at lovely pictures actually. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, oh, Catriona. And then have you got a campaign coming up?
Yeah, so for what I'm going to do for St. Patrick's weekend, I'm
Mm.
going to run a raffle because I've got John O'Callaghan has got some fantastic prizes for us to raffle, like K9 portraits and Rachel Dubber gifts from her, and Alana Feeney donated a voucher for Kelly's Resort. So I've got loads of things. So raffle tickets will be cheap as chips, but like if everyone bought one raffle ticket for €5, it would all add up. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's
And
the
where will
thing.
they be able to do that? Is that
So it's going to be on our Twitter page. So it's at Cat Lowry 54, or am I at Cat Lowry? I have a private one, and then oh my god, they'll see us anyway. Hilltop, I think it's just at Cat Lowry, and so that's the Hilltop Sanctuary Ireland page, because I believe there's a Hilltop Sanctuary over there as well that we get confused with, and and just to follow us on Twitter, that would be great, or follow my blog, The Reluctant Rescuer. That would be brilliant as well.
and are you on Instagram as well, Catriona?
No, and I should be, shouldn't I?
Oh, I don't know. Listen, I'm not a mad fan of it all myself, but it's important to get all of these. All of these links, by the way, are going to be in the show notes, Catriona.
Oh, thank you. That would be
and
brilliant.
let's give it a big plug up for St. Patrick's Day. Perfect.
Yeah, I have to say, Anna, I wish we had the equivalent of your podcast over here, and you're so good to dip into what's happening over here as well. And it really means a lot that you do that, highlighting puppy farming and things like that.
Oh, Catriona, look, thank you again for today, because I know you're so busy, and to spare the time to chat.
Oh, no, thank you so much, Anna. And it's, the fact that I'm in the sun outside a public library with Wi-Fi signal and not hanging off the edge of the stable at Hilltop trying to get coverage to speak to you.
Well, that's
it's amazing.
Good. Well, I'm glad, because you might have fallen off or something.
Yes, exactly.
We'll be bigging this up for St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, thank
Catriona.
you.
Thank you
so
again.
Much. Bye.
Hey, Mr. Binks, that's our show. What did you think? Yes, I know, you're also very lucky indeed. What's that? Yes, you're right. It is time for Woof of the Week. I believe that sometimes our relationships with dogs certainly are written in the stars. Well, I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please rate and review the show wherever you tune into your podcasts. Thanks again to Catriona Lowry, and all the links for Catriona are in the show notes. Thanks again, of course, to Mike, my producer. You can find out more about him and his company at Pod People UK. And for more about me, I'm at Anna Webb Dogs. What's that, Mr. Binks? Yes, you're right. We are back in your feed next Sunday.